Before we get into today's show, ladies and gents, we have a brand new second tier ticket giveaway. We are gifting 3 of you lucky listeners a pair of tickets for the final day of the season on May the 3rd. And not only that, we have tickets for 3 fixtures in particular. Get this, we have Burnley versus Millwall, which could be a title race decider for the Clarets. Norwich City versus Cardiff City, which could be the game which decides whether Cardiff stay up or not, and Portsmouth versus Hull City, which might just be a big old party down on the south coast if both of them stay up. But if you want to enter, then all you have to do is sign up to the second tier Patreon and then answer this weekend's special trivia question. Get over to patreon.com/second tier and sign up for just £3.50 a month. The question is up there right now, so as well as ad-free episodes of the second tier, access to the Discord, and exclusive content every single week, you'll be in with a chance of winning a pair of tickets for the final day of the season on May the 3rd. Get over to patreon.com/second tier and sign up right now. Free tickets don't sound bad, does it, Justin? Especially with ticket prices nowadays being extortionate.
Oh, and Donald Trump's just announced his tariffs as well, which means things are only getting more expensive, Ryan. So, God, get those free tickets. Get those free tickets while you can.
Will they affect ticket prices?
You never know. I'm no economist, but you've got to make these links.
Well,
Speculate.
If Chansiri's struggling to pay player wages at Sheffield Wednesday and he's in the tuna business, isn't he? Then maybe it would actually have an effect. I don't know how it works with tuna prices in Thailand, but maybe it will have an actual effect. I don't know.
Stay tuned for our tariff special coming up.
We'll be having a deep dive into that, ladies and gents. It was £33 to watch Derby v Preston on Wednesday, by the way.
Disgusting. It's midweek against Preston. Good grief.
If I paid £33 for that game, I'd be questioning my financial choices. Instead, I've got a half-season ticket. So who's the real idiot here? Me. That's who. Let's go to our game of the weekend in the Championship, ladies and gents. It is the Saturday lunchtime clash between Luton Town and Leeds United at Kenilworth Road. Leeds are your 4-7 favourites to win this one with SBK. A Luton win is 5-1. The draw is 3-1. Plenty of questions heading into this one, Justin, but the most pressing one of all is, what derby is this?
Just a Kevin Nichols derby, Ryan.
No.
Come on.
I thought you were going to nail this, because this is right in your wheelhouse, Justin. It's the Enoch Shawumney derby.
Oh, my God.
Absolute bloody legend he was.
That's so good. That is such a good one. Oh, Enoch Shawumney. Oh, left-footed player as well. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you about him. He's left-footed.
He was absolutely superb. What a player he was. And Luton legend. I think he's quite fondly thought of in Leeds as well. But just an absolute goat of the Coca-Cola Championship era. I love that bloke. But Justin, I'm glad we've got the big question out of the way. The next biggest question is this. Will Joy Division be ringing out in the Burnley and Sheffield areas once again on Saturday night?
Well, as an owner of a Joy Division tattoo myself, not because of Lee's quarrels, obviously, people should be listening to Joy Division most Saturday nights. They are a good band. But in the context of Leeds potentially losing, it should be belting out. It should be belting out. You are absolutely right to bring that up. And I think as well, probably the worst time to play Luton at Kenilworth Road. Kenilworth Road is probably going to be going into this game loaded with belief. And when it's loaded with belief, it is the worst ground to visit. And you've got to throw into the context from Leeds' perspective is they're battered and bruised from dropping points. So they're going into this game in the worst possible shape they could be in this season against a team who are got the bit between the teeth. So yeah, Joy Division could well be belting out in Burnley and Sheffield.
I've been reading so much about Joy Division over the past few days after doing my bloody video on the second tier YouTube channel.
Never asked me.
Well, because obviously I did the video about why do Leeds United fall apart. So I've now become an expert on Joy Division in the space of a few days. I'm not hating it because I like Joy Division as well. But yeah, I've read so much content about them. But anyway, let's get back on track here because after that Swansea game last week, I think everyone associated with Leeds has every right to be very, very worried. They had an international break to eradicate any idea of them falling apart. They were at home, where Leeds have been formidable all season, and they were facing a side with next to nothing to play for. And that's why I said on Sunday that game was absolutely ideal for Leeds. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being anything but. And now they're going to a side who, as you say, Justin, have everything to play for, have newfound belief that they can get out of the position that they're in. And to make matters worse, it's Leeds away from home. Leeds, who have had a lot of problems this season on their travels, just 8 wins from 19, Justin. Not great figures heading into this one.
It's not. I think there are two ways to look at this. They've got the third best away record in the Championship, but they've got to be near faultless, haven't they, when they're pushing for the top two? Because when you throw into the fact that Sheffield United have won 12 away games and Burnley have won 11, Leeds are 9 points off them in that sense. 3 wins off them. That's quite a big old chunk of wins they're missing out on, essentially. And it's such a weird little situation they found themselves in, because Ellen Road's always been a fortress, hasn't it? It's always been a difficult place to go. And Leeds have always, I think when Leeds come up against teams, especially away from home, it's going to be a big game for whoever they play against, because the big boys are coming into town. And I think there's no way you can look at that, no other way you can look at that. But at the end of the day, Leeds have got to be winning games away from home. It doesn't matter how they're winning games away from home. They've got to be picking up points. Not even draws at this stage of the season, I think, will help them, because that's just going to put pressure on them to win. And as we're finding out at the moment, Leeds aren't coping very well with pressure. And as I was alluding to just a moment ago, Kenilworth Road's the worst place to go when you're under pressure. You don't want to play against a Luton side when they're going, and you definitely don't want to play against Kenilworth Road when it's pumping.
I'd like to just congratulate you for a sec, Justin, because I think we're 10 minutes into this podcast now and you haven't even mentioned the fact that it's an early kickoff for Leeds United as well. Listen.
I've got this lined up for later on in the show.
Oh,
I didn't want to bang the drum, but it's a point I will make later on. Don't worry.
Hello, everyone. It's Ryan and Justin from the future. We're having to re-record this section of the podcast because when we recorded this earlier, we had news that has since come out and now it doesn't make sense. And Justin's had to go all the way to Spain, hence why he's in a completely different location now to when we recorded this earlier, because he's so concerned about this news. But the reason we are re-recording this is because Daniel Farke has revealed Illan Meslier will not start in this game. It, of course, comes after he was at fault for both goals in Leeds' draw to Swansea last week. Now, Farke has stayed loyal to Meslier throughout the season, but has now decided to play their number 2, Carl Darlow, instead. So it would seem, Justin, he's made one mistake too many, has old Illan.
He's made 7 mistakes too many? I think that would be the best. Yeah,
he's made 7 mistakes too many for us, but for Daniel Farke, it's 1 mistake too many.
Absolutely. It's needed to happen, and it's right that it's happened as well, because I think not only do you make sure your team's going to perform at its very best, because you're not going to suffer from potential mistakes. It's not like Meslier is making mistakes every single game, but yeah, he's making far too many. But also you settle the nerves of your defenders. So at least with Carl Darlow's experience, Premier League experience, Championship experience, international experience, you've got a dependable stopper there. He's not exempt from making a mistake. Let's bear that in mind. But what we've seen with Meslier is it is clearly just a player who's out of form. And he's needed to come out, and Daniel Farke's finally done the right thing. At least 5 months too late, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's well overdue, put it that way. And it is interesting that now he has made this decision, finally. I wonder if he's just genuinely thought to himself, shit, if I don't make a change here, not only will we potentially miss out on promotion, I may also lose my job, which is a pretty decent reason for making this decision, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah, we've been saying for a long time the decision's well overdue. Carl Darlow hasn't had a look in for whatever reason, even though he's Wales's number 1. He's a more than solid deputy, and now is getting the chance, as we know. I think one interesting thing to consider, though, here is just in what this does for the mindset of Illan Meslier, because Farke has for a long time been saying he will stay loyal to him and has now said, this is just getting ridiculous now. You've made too many cock-ups, Illan.
Well, I think this is something we do have to bear in mind, is that he's clearly a player who's suffering from a confidence issue. That being said, at the point in which he made his first mistake against Swansea at the weekend, he was having a really, really good game. a really good game. Yeah, well, in terms of shot stopping anyway. Obviously, he saved the penalty. He made several key saves, and just before he dropped the ball for the first mistake, he made a good save from a long range shot that led to the corner that unfortunately he dropped the ball from. So yeah, it's kind of a very unique scenario. A very unique scenario. But what you've got there at the very least is you're taking Meslier out of the heat. You are, and it's going to do him better, I think, in the long term, whether his future's at Leeds or elsewhere, that this is the case. Because, when players are performing badly time after time after time, and they're getting a lot of stick for it, and sometimes it spills over to abuse from certain sections of people, then I think it's right to take him out of the firing line, give him a break, give him a mental break, and then they can go again.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll now go back to Ryan and Justin from the past. But for Luton Town, Justin, a few weeks ago, they would have been looking at their fixture schedule and been thinking, oh no, we've still got to play Leeds. But now, it's not as daunting a fixture, is it? Particularly because they've picked up themselves 3 wins in 5 for them after going 13 games without a victory. They're believing, Justin. Are you believing?
I am. I did. I backed them to stay up, didn't I? Just a couple of weeks ago when we recorded during the international break.
You did.
So I firmly believe that Luton have got back to the basics and they are starting to play to their strengths. And also, I'd be cautiously optimistic here for Luton going into this game against Leeds if they play to their strengths. Luton, that is. Yeah, and I think as well, this is a big test of where they're at. They need to start quick. They need to show they can fight and be organised and really bruise Leeds as well. Because then I think it will be a very good game. They cannot show Leeds any respect. They have to go back to that Luton Town that Nathan Jones built. I think this is really where the route they need to go down if they're going to stay up. And I say, literally pay them no respect, zero respect. Treat it like it was Liverpool last season. Make it horrible and hard, and I think they will come away with something. Because as I say, I think a Kenilworth Road that starts to believe is a horrible place to go. And when this Luton team starts to play to their strengths and starts to simplify their own game, they're horrible to play against. They do all the basics really, really well. There's nothing gorgeous and sexy about them, but there's nothing gorgeous and sexy about mashed potato and sausages, but it gets the job done, doesn't it?
Yeah, it bloody does. I love that. But yeah, I remember when I went to Kenilworth Road to watch Derby play there, back in, I think it was just before Christmas, and the atmosphere there was so turgid. Fans were just so quickly getting on the players' back, and it was completely understandable because the players were playing terribly. But now I would imagine there's just this sense of belief that things are starting to change for them. And when Kenilworth Road has that belief, it's a completely different set of circumstances, isn't it? So Luton heading into this, they will be the underdogs, of course. We all know that. And when Luton are the underdogs at Kenilworth Road, so often over the years, we've seen that really play to their advantage. And that could very well be the case here. And look, Luton could really, really do with getting a result if they are to stay up. I mean, that goes without saying. But Derby's win in midweek meant the gap to safety grew by a point. And it now means that even if Luton win here, they'd still be in the bottom 3, which says a lot about how far gone they were at one stage. But I'd say 4 out of the 5 teams above Luton have winnable games this weekend. This is arguably Luton's most difficult game of the season, so anything they get here, they'll take it, just to keep themselves amongst it, Justin.
It's all about building momentum, isn't it? It's obviously the chances of beating Leeds are very, very difficult. They are slim because Leeds are a good team, and they can just, if they do switch it on, because we're talking about a lot of variables with Leeds where, we're talking about if they got the mental strength to stop making those mistakes, they get punished. These are intangible things. So if Leeds do turn up and they've got it in them, then the likelihood is they'll walk away with a win. But if Luton put in a performance and make it horrible and hard for them, then that's only going to grow confidence for the Hatters going into the last, it'll be 6 games of the season, which, as we alluded to in our midweek show, we're in a mini league now. We're in a mini league of a mini season for the teams at the bottom of the table. And it's all about building momentum. And at the minute, the 2 teams that have got momentum are Luton and Derby. So they've got to carry that on in some context. Because I don't think draws this weekend would be terrible results for them, because at the end of the day, they're proving more difficult to beat, and that's what they need to be doing.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a mini league, but Luton have had a 2-point deduction in that mini league, so they're slightly behind.
Yeah.
So they are making up ground on the teams who are just separated by 2 points. But as you say, they've got the momentum, and that is going to be so huge here. And it doesn't matter how you play at this stage, it's just about getting points on the board, isn't it? So anything they get against Leeds will be huge. But Justin Peach, it's now time for us to make our second tier bet builder with SBK. Now with SBK, you don't just get an ordinary bet builder. No. They offer you fresh legs too. And fresh legs means when a player gets subbed, your bet carries over to the player coming on. So whether that's a shot on target, a yellow card, or a goal, fresh legs keeps you in the game. And SBK are offering this on every championship game this season, meaning there really is no better place to bet on the second tier. So sign up for SBK right now and join the thousands of people already taking advantage of fresh legs every weekend. On top of that, SBK are offering a massive 25% boost on any bet builder with 4 or more selections for Luton v Leeds. Max stake £10 and T's apply. SBK are also offering a 25% boost on any bet builder with 4 or more selections for Blackburn versus Middlesbrough tonight. So fill your boots. Every Friday, we make our own bet builder with 4 selections, all relating to our game of the week. So that's 2 for Justin and 2 for me. Justin, what is your first selection for the bet builder?
I've gone with Luton to have over 8.5 shots. Now, Luton are at home. That's a big pull for me. They're going to need to carry their form on if they're going to get out of that bottom 3, as we've discussed. And it's a big team coming to town as well, and that could really push them forwards. Statistically speaking as well, 6 of the last 9 games for Luton have brought in over 8.5 shots from the Hatters. And whilst Leeds and this sturdy-ish defence will limit them, we've got to bear that in mind. Luton have laid gloves on other promotion rivals or teams chasing the promotion in some context, in some form, with Middlesbrough and Sheffield United in those 6 games. So Luton to have over 8.5 shots is my first pick.
Yeah, Luton have had over 8.5 shots in each of their last 9 home games, and Leeds have been conceding slightly more shots recently. So I like this pick, Justin. My first selection for the bet builder is under 3.5 cards. Ryan's card pick of the week. Oh, beautiful. That is, of course, the brilliant jingle sent in by Mitchell last week, which might become a permanent fixture on this show because I absolutely bloody love it. Anyway, it's, of course, my card pick of the week, and I'm going under 3.5 cards because the referee for this is a Mr. Thomas Bramall. Often a Premier League ref is old Tommy, but he's only given out over 3.5 cards in one of his last 6 games in either the Championship or the Prem. Likes to keep him in his pocket, Justin. Plus, you've got Leeds here, who, as we should all know by now, aren't dirty Leeds anymore. They are squeaky clean Leeds. They've received the fewest cards in the division this season. So a lot of things pointing to this not being a card fest for me. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and I don't think Luton have got as many shit houses as they once had. You know, you're looking at your Henry Lansbury's, your Pelly Rudik and Panzus, you know, the players that are going to kick the living shit out of you when you're playing. And I think that will somewhat play a role as well. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this one. Ryan.
I had a check, and as far as I'm aware, Thomas Bramall has never refereed at Bramall Lane, which is a massive shame. It needs to be rectified at some point, I imagine. Justin, what's your next selection for the bet builder?
I've gone with both teams to score. I'd expect this game to get frantic at times and open up regardless. At this stage of the season, I think it's going to happen. But I think this pick, for me, falls more on the side of Leeds. Both teams have scored in 5 of the last 7 games Leeds have played. And when you've got uncertainty over your goalkeeping situation, it's not going to make things easy. Obviously, Carl Darlow's coming in for Illan Meslier. So I think Luton are going to put it on Darlow very, very early. And that could really test a goalkeeper who's not had a lot of match action this season. And that, as I say, that can open things up. But again, I think the ferocity in which Luton are going to play at Leeds is reduced in ability to to keep teams out. I think these are the two big scenarios that are really, really throwing it in for me.
It'd be so funny, wouldn't it, if Carlo Darlow drops a bollock now as well?
It would be peak. It would be peak Leeds. It really would, and in a really funny way as well. And it would just be a case of, well, what does Daniel Farke do then? You know, if Carlo Darlow drops a clanger, he's got 2 goalkeepers dropping clangers. What do I do now?
Yeah,
what's your third choice?
Who else we got? Casper Ankergren, what are you doing now, mate? But yeah, I think this is a good pick, Justin. As you say, Leeds have surprisingly been conceding quite a few goals recently. They've definitely been nowhere near as confident at the back as they once were. Luton have been poor at the back all season, so two shaky defences here for me, and that's a good reason to be going BTTS. And the final selection for the Bet Builder is Luton double chance. Now, there's every chance that Leeds rock up to Luton and turn them over fairly easily, and we all forget about them falling apart. But all the odds that I'm looking at for this, Leeds are just 4-7 to win. You cannot justify backing that at that price. There's too many factors going against Leeds here. Number one, the huge wobbles they've been having recently. We all know about them. Two, the wobbles they've particularly had away from home this season. And three, the fact Luton have a bit of belief all of a sudden. They're heading into this thinking, maybe we're not down after all. We can still salvage this. And before, they'd have been shitting themselves about this game. So now they'll be looking at Leeds and be thinking, we can get at these. So why fancy Luton to get a result and power the pressure even further on these faltering Leeds United players, Justin?
Yeah, I like this. I love a double chance because I don't like risk. One thing you need to take into account as well, like you said, is Leeds' poor away record compared to the promotion rivals. You've mentioned that, but also how slow they start games that kick off at lunchtime, Ryan. Now, I'm not going to bang the drum about Leeds' 12-30 record because we all know it's poor. We all know it is a factor. But I think the more logical thing to bring into this is how quick they actually start these games. They don't start them quick. They're very slow. They're very laboured. And that allows opposition to build. It really, really does. And when you've got a Luton team who've got this newfound belief and you've got Kenilworth Road that's going to be buzzing, it's going to be under the bloody sunshine, for God's sake. What a day it's going to be, Saturday lunchtime. I think everyone's going to be in a really, really jubilant mood, I would say, at Kenilworth Road. And I think that's going to play a huge role in galvanising the Hatters here. So, yeah, I'm not going to throw the early kickoff, but drum at you. I've done it a lot this season. I've been right. But, yeah, the pace in which they start games is so slow. So, Luton double chance, I like that.
Not going to throw the early kickoff drum at me despite talking about it for the past minute, but that's fine. But anyway, I do agree with you, Justin. And this is our bet builder for this weekend in our game of the weekend, Luton versus Leeds. Luton to have over 8.5 shots, under 3.5 cards, both teams to score, and Luton double chance. A £10 bet on that bet builder returns £100 thanks to SBK's 25% boost. But remember, if you don't fancy our bet builder with SBK, you can create your own bet builder from a range of markets. And with the Grand National this weekend, there really is no better time to sign up to SBK. Not only will you receive £30 in free bets when you sign up and place a bet of £10, but you can also take advantage of SBK's great offers throughout the weekend, including a free horse racing bet builder on the country's favourite race. T's and C's apply, 18 plus, and please do gamble responsibly. Justin, let's take a quick break. After that, we'll make some more predictions ahead of this weekend. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast, and it's now time for us to have a look ahead to the weekend. And in each preview episode of the Second Tier, Justin and I will each pick a banker, a team we think is guaranteed to win this coming weekend, as well as an outsider, so someone we think is going to win, but is bigger odds with our friends at SBK than their opponents. We're tracking how we do as the season goes on. It's 1 point for a correct banker, 2 points for an outsider. Whoever loses has to do a forfeit, which is to be a mascot at an EFL game next season. The current scores look like this. It's 37-31 to Justin Peach. I managed to close the gap by 1 point last week after my outsider of Luton to win came in. Would have been another point if it wasn't for Illan Meslier being a liquid in the Leeds goal. But I've got 5 preview shows left to close the 6 point gap. And really, I need to just keep hitting these outsiders to stand any chance, Justin. A lot easier said than done, though, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but it's getting difficult. It's getting more and more difficult as the weeks go by because we're in that end of the season where things are really, really up in the air and anyone can beat anyone. And you previous bankers like your Leeds, they're not as banky anymore, are they? Because
banky,
not as banky anymore for various reasons that we've discussed already. So yeah, this is where it gets tough. This is where you're made. This is where the legends are made, I think.
Go on then. What's your banky prediction for the weekend, Justin?
My banky is Bristol City to win at home to Watford on Saturday afternoon. Big pull for me is Bristol City's home record of late, probably all season actually. But the last 4 games, they've won 3 and drawn 1, with two of those wins coming against Norwich and Middlesbrough. So they're coming up against teams who are in and around them, and they're getting results, which is a big, big thing. In addition, actually, this is the more telling thing. Watford boast obviously one of the poorer away records in the Championship, and it feels like this season is really starting to fizzle out. Really dull, flat 0-0 draw last weekend to Plymouth exemplified that. There was a real lack of quality. I know Watford did create a fair few chances, but they knocked on the door and sadly just couldn't get through. And that comes off the back of a defeat to Oxford just before the international break as well. 2 teams there with significantly less quality than Watford, and they struggled in both games. And obviously with Bristol City pushing for the top 6 and really need a reaction after what felt like a men against boys defeat to Burnley last weekend, I think this is the ideal fixture for a reaction.
Yeah, and we mentioned a few times recently how Bristol City, out of the playoff chasing sides, Justin, have one of, if not the hardest fixture schedules remaining. So them at home to Watford, I'd be looking at that thinking, if Bristol City are to get in the playoffs, this is simply a must-win game for them, really, isn't it?
It is. You're absolutely right. And I think if they were to lose this, the belief from a neutral point of view, our point of view, it would start to wane a little bit because, like I said, I think Watford is one of those teams that I wouldn't say they're packing up their bags and going on holiday just yet, but it feels like they're starting to, get the passport ready, get the tickets sorted, because any sort of aspiration of a playoff chase, it just diminished weeks ago. And once
they've been to the Bureau de Change, they've got the sun cream ready. They're pretty prepared for it already.
Exactly, they're very, very organised for this trip that they're going to go on. But as I say, I think that's going to really sort of play a part in their games over the next few weeks.
Yeah, they've got the visas sorted out and everything. They're just
where are they going?
Well, who knows? It's a surprise for everybody. Probably not Wembley though, is what I'd be guessing. Let's go to my banky for the weekend. It's Sheffield United to win away at Oxford on Saturday afternoon. Now, look, it's all well and good Sheffield United laughing and chortling along at Leeds United struggles. If they want to go up though, they need to get the job done themselves. And so far, they have been doing just that. It's 8 wins in 10 for Chrissy Wilder's boys. They've particularly had a lot of joy on their travels recently because it's 8 wins in 9 away games for the Blades, which is a pretty remarkable record, really, isn't it? It's the best away record in the Championship. But right now, whether it's home or away, they have been steamrolling past whoever it is they are playing, and they have been truly capitalising on Leeds' struggles. And we'll be hopeful that they can do it even further in this game, because they're facing an Oxford side who are in serious, serious danger. It's just 1 win in 11 for Gary Rowett's boys. With so many teams down at the bottom winning recently, Oxford have just seen that relegation zone getting nearer and nearer, and I think they are in imminent danger of heading into the bottom 3 in these final 7 games. They're bang out of form. They've got a horrible set of remaining fixtures, this of course being one of those horrible fixtures, and they've been very poor for a while now, and it's hard to see them causing many problems for the best team in the division currently. So not very often I go with an away team as my banker for a game, but as far as away bankers go, surely doesn't get much more convincing than this.
Yeah, and you've got to take risks at this stage of the season to close that gap on me, points-wise, haven't you, Ryan? But I think as far as fixtures lie, this is a nice one, isn't it? Sheffield United are so good away from home. We've spoken about their sort of dip in form at home, or dip in performances at home, but their away record really, really picked up. It's been fantastic. And when you look at keeping clean sheets, they've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 6, conceded just 3 goals in that time. More impressively, though, I think their attack is just hitting form. It really is. Tyrese Campbell scoring goals, Ryan Brewster's back amongst the goals. There's just a couple of players there, and they were really, really, really impressive against Coventry last weekend. I don't think you can really understate how much of a one-sided fixture it was against a really good Coventry team. Now, if they even just take 10% of that performance against Oxford at the Kassam, it's going to be a difficult afternoon for the Hughes and Gary Rout's team, because this Sheffield United team just feels like they're going in the right direction. Chris Wilder up against his old club as well in Oxford. That might won't play any part in it because it was a while ago now, but you never know.
Bloody hell, I forgot about that. Yeah. I always just think of Chris Wilder just being born at Bramall Lane and just growing up there for his entire life.
Sprouted.
Just sprouting out of the woodwork. But it is an interesting point to make here, Justin, because Sheffield United will, of course, know by the time they play how Leeds will have got on, and Burnley for that matter, because they're both playing at lunchtime. So would that be an advantage, do you think, for the Blades? Perhaps even a disadvantage, maybe, in a strange way?
Well, it turned out not to be an advantage for Leeds last week, and obviously Sheffield United playing on the Friday, having their win, and then Leeds dropping as hard as they did. Maybe with the pressure, I don't know. No one will ever admit to that being a factor, because they will never admit it, because it's a weakness, isn't it? It's a weakness if they say, "Oh yeah, no, it played a part in our defeat." If they know result, so even if we can speculate that it was, they'll never admit it. But I think it could, if Sheffield United were to drop points, there's no logical reason why they would against this Oxford team. But you've got to start to consider those factors outside of the tangibles, and think about the psychological, mental impact that that could potentially have. So, maybe. But I say no one will ever admit it. Not least Chris Wilder.
Well, yeah, of course. So there are mine and Justin's two bankers for the weekend, and every week we combine these two selections with a bet on the full-time results of our game of the weekend to create our very own second-tier featured accumulator with SBK. And as per usual, we're including one of our outsiders, which we put to you, the listener, again, to decide who else gets included. So this week we're going for Luton, double chance, Bristol City, Sheffield United, and Stoke, all to win, which is Justin's outsider this week. Now, your outsider got picked last week, Justin, and was the one that let us down in the accumulator. I am starting to get a bit of a theory that maybe the outsider that gets chosen in the accumulator might actually be a curse.
I don't know why people voted for this. I picked this because I've purely gone for the fact that Stoke City need to win. But I've looked at the numbers, obviously doing my notes, and I've gone, fucking hell, I've done this.
Well, apparently the listeners agree with you, so there you go.
just exemplifies my theory that they're all fools. Joking, of course. But honestly, it's I don't know how it's been picked. The numbers do not back this one up at all, I tell you.
Great. Well, I look forward to hearing that justification very shortly. Anyway, the second tier featured accumulator for this weekend: Luton double chance, Bristol City, Sheffield United and Stoke, all to win. A £10 bet on that accumulator returns £220, thanks to SBK's 20% boost on accumulators for this weekend, which have 4 or more selections. T's and C's apply, over 18s only, and please do gamble responsibly. Justin, let's go to your outsider then. It's Stoke City to win away at Preston on Saturday afternoon. You are full of confidence in this one.
Yeah, but having done my research after I actually picked it, which was a mistake, Stoke are going into the game off the back of 4 straight away defeats. But Preston looked really poor against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. I watched it, wasn't impressed at all. There was a lot of pressing at times, a lot of good pressing traps set, but ultimately they just disappeared in the second half, and that followed into their midweek game against Derby. They're the big factors for me here, because as I say, there's not much really to talk about Stoke away from home because the away record's so poor of late. But it's Preston that are the deciding factor. Went up against a team that were fighting for their lives in Derby midweek and didn't offer anything at all. They were so flat. Other than a shot in the first couple of minutes by Milicinas Majic, there was not much there. And they were making a lot of mistakes as well. Derby's goals were, I would say, easily defendable. I think when you're letting a 36-year-old have 3 touches in the box in Craig Forsyth, a 36-year-old who's had 3 ACL injuries, by the way, when he's got that much time to turn in the box, and it's not a quick turn, there's no Cruyff there. It was a slow old lorry 8-point turn he made and then get his shot off. I think it's really, really poor. And that's probably where Preston are at the moment. It feels like they're on the beach. We were talking about Watford getting the tickets ready. I think Preston are there. I think they're at the destination. They are in a position where they're just seeing a season out now, which is not where you want to be. You want your team to fight, you want your team to scrap for points, but after that FA Cup quarter-final, it's really hard to see Preston picking up points, which is why I've gone for Stoke off the back of a really, really positive performance against QPR last weekend.
Yeah, I was so unimpressed with Preston on Wednesday night. They looked really, really bang average, and maybe they are heading to the beach already because their season is virtually over now that the FA Cup run is done and dusted with. So, yeah, it's hard to find too much encouragement from a Preston point of view heading into this one. As you mentioned, Stoke haven't been great on their travels, but back-to-back home wins may give them a bit of encouragement that Mark Robins is slowly turning the tide down in Staffordshire, Justin.
Well, that's it. And again, against Millwall, which was their obviously last away defeat, and they were okay. They missed chances, and obviously they gave away the penalty at the end of the game, which Millwall put away. But the reason why Stoke lost that game is because they didn't take their chances. They were still creating them, albeit it wasn't a flood of shots. It wasn't a flood of openings. But they went away from home and they did enough to get something from it. They didn't because of a mistake. And that's probably where they were at. So again, if they can repeat that performance, I'd still back them to win against Preston, but it's just really hard. I feel like sometimes it's a bit of pot luck with Stoke because they can look sensational one week and then look like the worst team in the division the next. That's how it's been all season. No consistency whatsoever. So I really am backing on Preston to have an absolute stink here to get this, bring this one home.
That's Justin's outsider there of Stoke to win away at Preston in the Alex Neil, Daniel Johnson, Ben Pearson derby. My outsider for this weekend is Hull City to win away at Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday afternoon. First of all, Yorkshire derby. Nice little entry point for this one, but there's other subplots at play here as well, particularly in what's been a turbulent week for Sheffield Wednesday. Their players weren't paid on time for March, and the latest reports are that, unsurprisingly, the staff there aren't too chuffed about it. The Sheffield Star say the players weren't forewarned, and there's a major feeling of dissatisfaction in the Wednesday camp. So you've got not just one or two unhappy players here, you've got a whole squad of unhappy players. So will they be 100% focused on this game? Who knows? But it's not just the players, of course. This game is at Hillsborough, and the frustration of the supporters with this ownership is just growing and growing. I wouldn't be surprised if there's protests at this game. I'm predicting an uneasy atmosphere, and things could very easily turn toxic very quickly. This will all be music to the ears of Hull City, though. They are, of course, fighting for their lives after dropping to just a point outside the relegation zone following Derby's win on Wednesday. They will be massively up for this one, particularly because as well their home form has been strong all season. Them and ironically Sheffield Wednesday are the only teams in the Championship to have won more points away than at home. So everything just seems to be shaping up perfectly for Hull in this one. This is a great opportunity to get a valuable win. And yeah, I'm fancying a Hull shock in quotation marks away at Hillsborough this weekend.
I don't think it's that much of a shock because Hull's away record's actually pretty decent compared to Sheffield Wednesday's home record, which is absolute garbage. And then when you throw in the factor that Sheffield Wednesday are under a cloud at the moment of a lot of uncertainty, it really does put, I think, the wind in the sails of Hull a little bit. That being said, they're another one of those inconsistent teams that are struggling to gain momentum at the bottom of the table. So again, we're in a position of, will they turn up for this one? Maybe not. So I think it's a really, really difficult one to call, and that's why it's an outsider. But I think if I was to pick one this weekend, I definitely would have been probably siding with a Hull over a Stoke away performance, if I'm being honest.
There you go. That's what happens when you get your picks in early, mate. But on a serious note, what do you think with Wednesday? The players surely won't be as focused for this one as they'd want to be, would they? Because of everything that's happened this week.
Well, I was looking, watching a few of the media clips, and I think the first questions that went into Danny Rawle were to do with the situation and not about the football. So immediately, I don't think it will be a distraction for Danny Rawle because he'll know the situation, he'll be aware of it. But those outside of the club, all you're thinking about now is the financial issues or suspected financial issues that are currently overshadowing the club. Obviously, the players not being paid, etc. So I think it does become a distraction from that from that sense. But at the same time, I think there'll be more communication, I'd hope, internally, where the players will know a lot more than we do and anybody else does outside of the club. So I think they'll just be focused on getting 3 points and, probably more certain that paycheck will come in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the longer that goes on, the more of a distraction it becomes. But I think with it being quite in its infancy, I think it won't be as much of a problem as it could be later down the line.
I'm not sure just now. I think right now it's just feeling so fresh in the minds of the players and the fans. Of course, they won't be very happy heading into this one, so that will obviously have an impact. But yeah, the players, I don't know what their mindset will be heading into this, because, I mean, worth pointing out, it's not the first time this has happened, so maybe they're almost used to it at this stage. But when you're not getting paid to do your job, I mean, for anybody, that's shit. Yeah. And it leaves you very unmotivated to do your job to the fullest, doesn't it? So yeah, it's a massive test of their professionalism. Not saying the players should be professional about that, because it's a shit situation for them to be in. But yeah, to say they'll be 100% focused on this game, I don't think would be the case, because how could you be after everything that's happened this past week? But there you go. Those have been mine adjusted predictions for this weekend. And now it's time for this.
All right. Settle down, you lot. It's time for the Craig Bryson pub quiz.
Yes, it is, Mr. Barman, and this is how it works. Justin is going to give me 6 clues about a Championship player, past or present, each more revealing than the last. And I simply have to guess who it is. They must have made over 200 Championship appearances in their career. And don't forget, the Dexter Blackstock rule is in play. So what have you got for me, Justin Peach, you bastard?
I have made 280 appearances, scoring 50 goals.
Did you get a Mother's Day present in the end, by the way?
I didn't get one. I'm not a mother.
Did you get one for your mother?
No, I didn't.
No, one absolute bastard. You're an absolute disgrace.
I don't
That's
succumb.
why I call you a bastard every single week.
I don't succumb to the society norms that everybody else does, Ryan. I'm a nomad. I'm on my own. You're all suckers for the commercial holidays, I tell you.
Yeah. Your poor mum. What was it? 280 appearances, 50 goals?
Yeah.
That's a fair few goals, to be fair. I am going to go with David Vaughan.
Oh, wow. No, it's not David Vaughan. What a name. Yeah, but
some of the names that come to my head when we do the first question on this. Absolutely sensational. Good to hear we mention, though, Justin. What's the next clue?
The next clue, I'll give you a bonus clue now. I don't think this player would get his mum a Mother's Day card either.
God. Okay. Interested to see where this is going.
Second clue is I have played for 5 different clubs in the Championship, having graduated from Aston Villa's academy in the mid-2000s.
5 different clubs in the Championship?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the numbers kind of line up. Don't know if he's played for 5 clubs in the Championship, but I'll go Peter Whittingham.
It's not Peter Whittingham. I mean, Peter Whittingham scored 25 goals in one season, so...
No, that's a fair point, yeah. Yeah.
And I think Peter Whittingham would get his mother a Mother's Day card.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So that's something you've got to factor in now. But the next clue is I didn't play Championship football until the 2008-2009 season, where I joined Sheffield United on loan from Chesterfield.
Could you just read the second clue to me again, please?
I have played for 5 different clubs in the Championship, having graduated from Aston Villa's academy in the mid-2000s.
Fine. So he didn't necessarily play for Villa, but he came through their academy. And then he went to Sheffield United and went on loan to Chesterfield, did you say?
I didn't play Championship football until the 2008-2009 season, where I joined Sheffield United on loan from Chesterfield.
Matt Lowton?
Matt Lowton. 50 goals.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you forget the odd bit here or there.
What a fullback.
For God's sake.
It's not Matt Lowton. The next clue is the only professional club I have not played for in the East Midlands is Leicester City.
The only professional club?
Mm-hmm.
Does he play for Notts County?
The only professional club I've played for in the East Midlands.
Absolute fucking joke. I knew you'd forget one.
In the Championship. It's Leicester City.
So, he's played for Sheffield United, Forest, Derby, Chesterfield. Started his career at Villa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair few clues, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't get his mum a Mother's Day card either, I suspect.
What does that mean? I'm not gonna focus on that, because hopefully that will just become clear later. I can't be focusing on that, can I? I should really know that, I'd have thought, but no one's coming to mind. Okay, that's fine. We've still got two clues.
You do?
Okay. I'll throw out there, just because I can't remember where he started his career, Nathan Tyson.
It is not Nathan Tyson. Good shout, but it's not Nathan Tyson. Penultimate clue, Ryan. Are you ready?
I think so.
I've been sent off in a playoff final where my team lost. I've also lost another playoff final.
God, there haven't been many red cards in playoff finals, I don't think.
There haven't. I tried to find them. There are very few.
Yeah. Well, Gary O'Neill got sent off, but obviously he didn't start his career at Sheffield United, Villa even. Jay Fulton got sent off in a playoff final, but I don't think it's him. Sent off in a playoff final. I'd have to go through each one in my head if I were to seriously figure that out. But no other one is coming close to me. I mean, the Derby Forest thing. How many players have played for Derby and Forest? Not that blooming many.
Not many.
No. But I'm struggling to come up with anyone, so I'm just going to have to throw out there Tom Ince. It's not right.
Who?
Tom Ince.
It's not Tom Ince. Final clue, Ryan. Final clue. I don't think we'll get it off this.
Great.
I currently play for an Emirati club based in Dubai called Precision FC, alongside Joel Lynch, Matt Lowton, Harry Arter, Ben Pringle, and Ravel Morrison.
You know how these clues are meant to make it more and more obvious as they go along.
I feel like this is a very specific bit of information because it's been in local news a fair bit.
Is it?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's the only reason why I know about it.
I mean, I'm pretty stumped here.
Right, he scored 50 goals. He came from Villa. So he's from Birmingham. I'm helping you now because I'm embarrassed.
Listening.
I'm embarrassed. Right. He scored 50 goals. He's from Birmingham. So he came through Villa's academy. He got sent off in a playoff final.
Yes,
and has lost another playoff final. And he's played for Derby and Forest. Fucking hell.
Yes, thanks. I was listening to the past 10 minutes, but no one is really coming to mind here.
You've got 10 seconds.
Play for Villa.
Didn't play for Villa.
Sheffield United in the in 2010, did he?
Give me a name. Come on.
No. I don't know it.
What a whimper. Just say a name.
No, I can't think of any. I'm assuming it's a winger / midfielder, but I'm going to have to tap out here, I think, because I genuinely just cannot think of it.
It's Jamie Ward.
Oh, piss. Bloody hell, I forgot about him.
Jamie Ward.
For fuck's sake.
Sent off in the playoff final against Burnley for Sheffield United. And obviously lost the playoff final with Derby against QPR.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah. No, fair enough. Fair enough. That was, yeah. I feel like I should have got that, really. I just completely forgot he played for Forest. I was putting too much emphasis on that. That was the thing that really let me down there, I think.
Yeah, signed a 4-year deal at the age of about 29, which is absolutely ludicrous. The height of their stupid spending at Forest. Before Marianakis' stupid spending, weirdly.
Yeah. Well, look where they are now, Justin. Jamie Ward started it all. But there we go, ladies and gents. I've fallen found on Craig Bryson pub quiz this week. No complaints from me. Probably should have got that. I focused too much on the Derby Forest thing, which was my big mistake there. But, these things happen. And hopefully we'll have a better weekend this weekend with the championship action, because it's another big weekend across the second tier. And we'll be back to review it all on Sunday. So we look forward to seeing you again for that. But this has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for listening.